welcome to my channel. I am making this video very spontaneously as I just finished a coaching session with a client. It was our last session together, our closing session, and I was inspired. I'm inspired to share with you a few things that came out of this last session and some of the feedback that she shared about the program that I was offering her. And just to give you a little backstory before I give you this beautiful analogy that came out of it, is she, at the time that we started the coaching journey together, she was very resistant. She had a lot of resistance towards it because it was a program that I was offering her, and she was at a point in her life where she was done with structure. She was no longer interested in following certain rules or being in a container. And I was able to, I don't want to use the word convince, but to talk to her into trying it out. And so she did. And now she told me that she is glad that she did so, that container was not so much restricting, but also a way to hold space for her to be. And she gave the analogy of a riverbank, of the river. And what came out of this is that, and I wrote this down, so allow me to read, that the advantage of having a program is like a riverbank. There is a certain structure, but the river flows the way it needs to go. And that's the idea behind a coaching program, behind having a healthy structure or healthy boundaries. And that's what we started to discuss. And so the structure, and I'm going to use her as an example, but that was the case for me. That's the case for a lot of people, actually. When we are in a certain structure, in a certain system where the container can no longer contain us, either it's too small. Think about a plant, the root system starts to grow, you have to transplant it. And so we start to feel a discomfort. The lobster that needs to change its shell, we start to feel stuck in that container. It no longer serves us. It no longer supports our value system, our belief system. And when I say belief, I'm not just talking about religious belief, but just in general, that beliefs that came from culture, from schooling, from parenting, from our value system, and from our higher self, or whatever you want to call it, our soul. We have our own set of values and things that we're guided towards. And therefore, a healthy container, a healthy boundaries. And that's something that we discussed together, and she came to the realization that, oh, wait a minute, structure is good, healthy boundaries are good, and I can create that structure for myself, those boundaries for myself, to allow me to be fully, authentically the person that I need to be. And just like the river that needs that structure, because a river cannot be a river without the riverbank. Otherwise, it becomes a mess. It becomes a flood. A lake has a different container. And so the riverbank will hold space for the river to flow. It allows certain boundaries for that river to flow. Again, our boundary as our firm. Some rivers are bigger, some are smaller. We're all different rivers, but we are able to then flow in that container once the container is healthy to support us. And sometimes the water level will rise. There's a buffer in that container, in that structure, bending the rules a little bit. There's a certain flow. Sometimes people will come close to our boundaries and we're like, no, if you step closer, the river's gonna grab you. And if you're too far, then you're not in that container. So there's also that analogy that I like to use, and seeing our water level as also something related to our energy levels, our emotions. Sometimes our water level will rise. The water level will rise. There's a lot happening, and sometimes the river is losing a lot of water. We're maybe too busy bringing our water to other people. And so readjusting our boundaries can help our level water rise back up. So if the river's starting to be dry, imagine if you could squeeze the riverbank of a river to allow that water level. So sometimes we need to readjust our boundaries if we feel like maybe we didn't respect them and we feel drained, because we'll start to blame other people. But at the end of the day, we have to take ownership and responsibility for our own boundary setting. And that's a process in itself. Guilty. We all have sometimes trouble with our boundary system. But when that is in place, and the more you practice and you feel like you are empowering yourself and setting proper boundaries, then your river is able to flow. And so I wanted to share that with you, and telling you that essentially proper guidance, a good boundary system can be a healthy thing to allow your river to flow effortlessly, to allow you to be your authentic self. And that's it for today. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it resonated. If it did, please drop a comment, like, share this with someone, and please subscribe or follow me on social media, or check out my website. The link's in the description below. Take care. With love and light, follow your heart and your intuition.